Hey everyone, welcome to the Friday live stream. We have a couple of guests with us this week. Andrea Jones, Roy, Andrea, welcome to the Friday live stream.
Thank you. I don't have as good a hair and makeup as your other guest, but
yes.
Hi.
And there's
George.
Oh my gosh.
Is that you the whole time, George?
Mm-hmm. I was sparkly vampiring.
Mm-hmm.
Hi everybody.
What's up, man?
So Evan is on his 20th anniversary jaunt.
Yep.
And Bob is running his haunt.
Ooh, a jaunt and a haunt.
A jaunt and a haunt. Yes, exactly.
So
well
that's
done,
why
George.
we have these two lovely people on tonight.
Not that we wouldn't have them anyway, but
George, we're just the haunt jaunt replacements.
I guess I'm trying to think like a what? A queen and a no. That's give me a half hour. I'll come up with something.
All right.
Andrea.
I'll set a timer. I'll circle back.
Please, thank you. I appreciate it.
Andrea,
Yes.
be honest, okay?
Okay. Always.
Do you use that butcher's knife behind you, or is that literally just like some stupid present you got?
It's none of the above. It's I used it twice to open a coconut.
Yeah.
And I never used it again. And now I use it to intimidate students during Zoom lecturing.
All right, that's a good answer.
You-
How
you
did you
don't-
use it to cut a
you
coconut?
don't eat meat. You're a vegetarian,
Exactly. So this cleaver is not living up to its full potential.
right? It's a
Yeah.
meat cleaver in a vegetarian's kitchen.
Yeah.
It's a sad existence.
I should just do a Sharpie frowny face on it so that everyone knows how it feels.
It's a good metaphor, though. It's a good,
Yeah.
just like
Yes. I got to use that sometimes.
Useful as a meat cleaver in a vegetarian's apartment.
Exactly. It's like a folksy aphorism.
That's right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, they say
From
it's
now
like
on,
a
it's just
meat.
going to be a symbol of my own uselessness. I'll just every time I see it, be right. Not living
I think
up
it's
to
actually a
potential.
poster. It's not even real. It's not even 3-dimensional. It's just wallpaper.
Just a really exciting poster.
Are you telling me that you took that and you took the sharp edge down on a coconut? Is that what you did?
That's right. Yeah. Well, you take the heel of it and puncture a hole in it first, and then you kind of elbow your way in and crack it open. We're working with a young Thai coconut, by the way, just to be specific. If we have some
All right,
coconut
can I tell
nuts.
you that's completely wrong?
Is
that's-
it? What should I
yes,
do
not-
instead? Hire
okay.
somebody?
All right, so
There's
there's
the
three
three
dots.
little-
There's 3 dots, right? You make it a smiley face like
Okay.
this. And then there's a spine on the top of the coconut, you'll notice, that runs from the front to the back.
Okay.
So you hold it lengthwise, so the 2 points of the coconut, one's here, right?
Okay.
And you take the back of any kitchen knife, like a vegetable knife.
Like one
So
of
always-
these? I don't know anything about kitchen.
Yeah,
I
like
don't know
the big
anything about
one.
kitchens. In
Take the
case you
big
can't tell.
You hit across
That's the
that
room with the
line.
oven. The room
Yeah.
with the oven.
This is where I store things. Is that what you mean? Anyway, yeah.
I'm talking over here. So you hit it across that line. And if you hit it hard enough and you're very careful because you don't want to cut yourself, the coconut will crack in half just like that.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We used to take a hammer. We would put them in a towel and take a hammer to them in the garage. That's how we opened them when we were kids.
It worked. Got the job done.
Yeah, right. I gotta go buy some coconuts. I'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I went to Hawaii and I had a moment.
Yeah. One trip to Hawaii and he's a coconut expert.
I've been there many more
Drinking
times.
his coffee out of a coconut.
Yeah, I know, right?
He made a radio. He's got the Gilligan. He's got a bikini too.
Yeah.
It's the whole
Yeah, the
thing.
grass skirt looks good, by the way.
Bare necessities, the simple bare necessity.
So I wanted to entertain
Yeah.
my co-host, my co-streamers here tonight by further showing you how absolutely ignorant and ridiculous Joe Rogan is.
Wait, we have a couple things to warm up the crowd.
You don't want to
first.
warm up
Let-
with Joe Rogan? I've been thinking
table
about
him
this
for
all
a
day,
second.
Ian. All right, go ahead.
I
Show
know
him
we
something
had
else.
a couple videos. So here's a video. Let's see if this gets the crowd excited. Oh, sorry. Hold on, let me rewind that because it's a little
Oh,
Yeah,
watermelon.
we gotta see it.
a little.
Is that how you
no,
open a coconut, Jay?
This is this
That's
guy's.
yeah.
Wait, is this gonna be? Do we get a warning here?
It's a little. Yeah, hold on. Wait, it's
Steve is in the big
graphic
window.
warning. I paused it, so
Steve's in the big window.
I
Yeah.
know he's. For
They
some
want my
reason, it's not
reaction to the
switching.
Can you
video.
smack your
Yeah,
back,
it's
Steve, and
not-
see what it?
It's not switching for some reason, but it will just do this. We won't see your faces entirely.
Okay.
So-
There
Oh,
we
that's
go.
fine. Oh
Yeah,
my
that'll be
God!
fine.
What has he
Oh,
got?
no.
So he's got a little mortar pestle, something. I don't know,
What the
something,
hell is this guy
and a
doing?
mallet. And he went to Home Depot and found some stuff. So
Oh no!
I don't know if this is approved, but let's just see. If
No!
Oh,
No!
my
No!
God.
No! 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 No!
Oh, jeez.
Holy shit!
Can he
Okay.
walk?
Well, we'll find out.
And now he tells him where the plans are, right? And he reveals
Yeah, this is
where
all
James
part of-
Bond is actually. What?
It
the-
Is
kinda
some kind of
goes-
Rolfing? Is that what's happening there?
I mean, it's labeled as a chiropractic adjustment.
Oh, okay.
This
that
is so.
one?
If you
Okay.
were just wondering
Okay.
if
Oh my
TikTok
God,
is
alright,
any
turn that
better
off,
than the
turn
rest
it
of
off.
social media,
What the
It's worse.
hell is going on? I mean, that guy, like, if a doctor is doing something to you that hurts that bad, that's supposed to like realign things, that something's wrong.
I also feel like if your doctor is like, hang on, I want to put this on TikTok, that suggests that he's doing
Yeah.
something that's not.
It's a red
normal.
flag there.
Yeah.
It almost looks like the guy lost a bet. I don't know. This world is so full of shit. Oh my God.
Wow.
yeah.
Well,
But
sometimes
no, his buddy said, "You want to go out and get hammered?" And he was like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's do it. That'd
sometimes
be great."
what the quacks do is useless, and then we point that out, and their reaction is to double down.
Yeah.
And so, like, for example, it's like, oh, that tumor can't get absorbed in the stomach. So they're like, I know, we'll give it intravenously, which they did, and they killed somebody. Now, somebody else told them, yeah, when you manipulate their spine, you're not actually moving the joints around. It takes way more force to do that than what. Oh yeah. Well, we'll move those vertebrae. Just wait and see. Oh, it's just ridiculous.
That video we saw actually could have damaged that guy's spine. Like, for real. That guy's spine could have had a couple of cracks in it.
Yeah.
And there's
I mean, how
about
much-
12 videos of that guy specifically.
What is
How
the
much-
video
Adjustment.
He
claiming?
moves
it's
less
doing?
and less. He moves
Yeah.
less and less. in each
But
video.
how much pain do you have to be in to go and let somebody do that to you? Like, that's like he walked in there in pain, I'm sure.
I don't think that's the critical variable there, Jay. The amount of pain he's in. I think there's some other variable in there that probably determines his willingness to let somebody do that to him. Just guessing.
Well, that was one hell of a video. My God.
Yeah, so hopefully the chat's warmed up. I have another one, but I think it's
That's
even.
the warm up to Joe Rogan. Oh, God.
Yeah. There's
Go
another
ahead.
one. I don't know if you've heard about Texas recently,
Yeah.
but if you're wondering about the educational system,
Oh yes,
And
I think I
that's
know
so-
what this is. Yeah, this is
And
great.
whatever happens, we will fight it together.
so let's
We
see
will.
what happens.
There's a lot of districts that are in the exact same spot we're in, and no one knows how to navigate these waters. I mean, no one.
So that was a little precursor to what she says next. Representative in Texas.
As you go through, just try to remember the concepts of 3979 and make sure that if you have a book on the Holocaust, that you have one that has other.
How do you oppose the Holocaust?
Believe me, that's come up.
So number the stars, which is
So
Go back to the hammer guy.
I was just gonna say.
That was a hammer to the brain, George.
So let's have an opposing view of something that we are 100% sure took place. Like there's no historic death. Go ahead.
The law in question is a law that basically says if the teachers present any position in school in their classroom that is in any way controversial, they have to present alternative opposing alternate views. But which is the law is very ambiguous and very vague. It's basically just cover permission, and like most of these laws, the primary reason was to give teachers cover so that they could introduce creationism into the public school. And then that and like climate change or whatever, it covers a couple of things, but it was vague because they're trying to evade the Supreme Court by not specifically targeting one thing, like not targeting evolution. But of course, they don't define the criteria for what makes something controversial, right? And so then it leads to this. It leads to some teachers say, well, I think the Holocaust is controversial. So, so teachers are now paranoid. They're afraid, like they don't know what's controversial or not. And they could easily run afoul of the law because they didn't introduce alternatives to germ theory or whatever. I don't know, whatever it is that
everything
someone
has an
else
opposing view. Everything has an opposing view. It's usually incorrect, especially if it's proven stuff.
But that means that to be safe, you'd have to end every lecture with or not.
Or not, right. And again, it's sort of
all the way down.
Yeah.
It's the vigilante system that Texas is going with, because any parent can complain. They taught my kid evolution in school without a nary, said about intelligent design or whatever.
And just wait, because Texas is going to get a lot more screwed up than it is right now.
Yeah.
It's on its downward spiral. We're going to see a lot more crazy coming out of there. But I have to make this point. This is just like skepticism 101. What the hell would any person on the planet today have to say about the Holocaust other than it was horrible, it happened, and everybody should have an absolutely exquisite understanding of that Holocaust. It should be taught in every school. There should be no vagary here whatsoever. It is such an abysmal way to handle something horrible that happened. We have to acknowledge it 158%.
I know that there are Holocaust deniers, right?
Yeah, I
so
get that, but we're talking about a school. This is happening in a goddamn school.
Yeah, but Jay, they don't want to teach about slavery in Texas. They want to teach that slaves were treated well. They were taken well care of. They were happy to be slaves, and it was all pig shit and sunshine. And you know what I mean? And the Civil War was about states' rights. It was about the Northern aggression, and that's their alternate history. They say it, which makes it controversial, and then they have they just write. All you have to do is make any topic controversial, and you have now the green light to teach whatever nonsense you want in the public school system. That's now the standard. There's no academic standard. There's nothing else. It's just, I don't believe that, so I'll make it controversial. I will declare it controversial, and then there you go.
It's disgusting. Sorry, go ahead.
Would it be an improvement if they went back? It doesn't sound like they would, but if they went back and clarified, actually, it's these three things that you have to do both. I still think that's horrible, right? If you do evolution, climate change, something else, and then the rest you have to teach. But
they've already lost that battle, though.
Yeah.
Legally, that's the problem. This is the next step. Is not mentioning something by name, but just opening the door for cover for because they know, everyone knows what time it is, right? Like the teachers there know what's going on.
Yeah.
Of course, if you're a well-meaning teacher, then again, you could easily run afoul of it. So it works both ways. It gives the stupid teachers cover, and the responsible teachers are now too nervous to teach. So I just won't teach about evolution because, which is they're just fine with them, right? Or I won't teach about slavery or the Holocaust or whatever. Just make everything controversial, and responsible teachers will be afraid to talk about it, and the crazy ones have the green light to bring in whatever nonsense they want.
I just don't understand. They're so savvy in some ways of like, okay, they understand the legal language, they try to teach secondary non-evolutionary stuff, and that gets denied. So they reframe it in a different way in legalese, with this idea. So they're so savvy on some level. But what's the end game?
Yeah.
Like I just don't understand what the end game is like to
perpetuate their hate. It's based on ignorance.
They're not,
based on hate.
I mean, they're not perpetuating. No one's saying, hey, how do we perpetuate our hate?
Well, wait,
what they are saying, George, what they are saying is, how do we perpetuate our religion, our culture? They might frame it as, this is, and they'll say, but of course, so they want a theocracy, even though they might not know that word or know that that's what they want or what they're saying.
The very people who say freedom, but whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, they want their society to reflect their culture and their beliefs, which they believe are under assault because other people believe different things. Yeah. And so that's what they said. We're just defending our way of life from replacement. They're trying to replace us with all these immigrants, and all the atheists are trying to change what we teach. And now, a man isn't a man anymore, and a woman or woman. Like, they're changing everything we thought we know about the world. The liberals are destroying it and trying to replace it, with all their woke nonsense. Yeah. And we're defending, God, guns, and freedom. And that's what it is. The big problem is, or one of the many big problems, but one that I've been encountering a lot recently, we're running into this dilemma that we're facing a pretty intense culture war, right? And you basically have liberal intellectuals on one side and conservative anti-intellectuals on the other side. And it's not, I'm not saying that to be critical. That is the consensus about what's going on. And I think it's absolutely correct. Their own summary of what their positions are overtly anti-intellectual. Like, there's no, like this law, like there's no two ways about it. The problem is that the more we point that out, the more defensive they get.
Yeah.
Right. So they're basically saying we're defensive because those elite liberals are calling us stupid. And our response to that is to do something even more stupid. And so what do you do then? Because if we try to point out, it's like, the earth isn't flat, or whatever it is, they're just saying, see, they're calling us stupid, and it's playing into the demagogues' hands, right? So they're being conned by demagogues, and we're pushing them further into that camp by pointing out that they're being anti-intellectual. So it's a dilemma. So what do we? Well, we can't not point out that the earth isn't flat, or that slavery happened, or the Holocaust happened, or whatever. How do we advocate for our intellectual stance without exacerbating the culture war that we are losing? Right. That's the other thing. It's like we're in a way where it's like we're winning the argument but losing the debate. You know what I mean? In terms of the politics, because they want to fight the culture war, because it's so much easier to scare people with boogeymen, with anti-intellectual boogeymen, than it is to go, well, actually, it's really more complicated than that. And let me explain to you why these people are anti-intellectual boobs. It doesn't work. So what do we do? That's the dilemma that we're facing.
Yeah, and there's also one. I just got to make this point real quick, just to be fair. The far, far, far left, ultra woke people are almost as insane as the far right, in my opinion.
Well, there's extremists on both ends, but that's not the 90% that we're dealing with.
Yeah, but the fight we're having in the middle.
The numbers are so different, Jay. Though
I know that, I know, but it needed. I just felt like it needed to be mentioned.
That's fine. That's fine. But just
a particular problem with it, or
just put it in perspective. And if we were living at a time when it was like there was reasonable debate in the middle and the extremes on the end, yes, but we're not. We're living in a time where we're having, there's still the extreme on the left, like there's always been, but in the middle, it's this intellectual, anti-intellectual fight. Now it's sort of like one, side that's trying to be reasonable, but ranging the normal gamut, from, moderate to radical, and the other side, which is full on anti-democratic, anti-intellectual, anti-science. And that's the point of it. Like they're anti-intellectual on purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually a
They love
feature.
it. They love
No,
it.
because that's owning the libs, right? That's the
Yeah,
way
yeah.
they're
Which-
defending their culture.
Look at Congress, Jay. I mean, there's members of Congress.
Yeah.
You're not going to find super left woke, super woke members of Congress. You will find super conservative. Monkeys aren't related to us. The earth is pretty much flat.
QAnon people in Congress.
Literally
Without
QAnon
doubt.
people in Congress.
No
so
doubt,
you can't
no
compare
doubt.
the two in terms of the influence and the reach that they have.
But to Jay's point, they are pointing to the super far left and the handful of members of Congress who are further left, still not super far left, right?
Yeah.
As far as the left goes, and saying, well, that's what the other side is saying. So they're pitting those arguments that most of the middle that Steve is describing don't hold or not after, right?
Of
Where
course.
we
I mean,
abolish
look,
gender forever or whatever.
as an example, like, the ultra conservatives have been saying that they're going to take your guns away. They said this about Obama for 8 years,
Yeah.
and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. It doesn't
matter.
happen.
all
No, but
fear.
it doesn't matter. Reality is no longer a factor in the equation. It doesn't matter.
Well, the
And
other
that's the problem we're faced with.
The other crazy thing is that the own the libs argument is also flipping it around and saying, actually, we're not the intellectuals, but we are the ones who are awake and know what's going on. And these sheeple are just listening to the elites. And so they're almost saying like, yeah, we're not, at the top of these ivory towers, but we actually get what's going on. And that's behind flat earth. That's behind all these other things that are saying,
Because
there's
we're
some
real
kind of
Americans.
conspiracy that I see through that you dummies don't. So they're
Yeah.
almost flipping it even further than
Yeah. And
anti-intellectual.
And what's so insane, many of the pundits who are driving these are Harvard educated lawyers, Yale graduates, wealthy, East Coast, pseudo intellectuals
So
that are
what does that mean,
driving
though,
these
George?
people.
What does that mean? Are they puppet masters? Are they
No,
full-
they're con artists. They're just
con
straight up.
artists.
That's
con
what I
artists.
mean. That's what
They
I mean.
understand the game of
They're
like,
working
I
a
get
system.
viewers.
They're
There's
working.
some of them I think are psychopaths.
Yeah.
There are some that like really that they know that they know full well what they're doing
They're
because
vaccinated.
they're contradicting. Yeah, they're
All the
vaccinated.
Fox News hosts,
They're
yep.
contradicting what they said, whatever, a year ago, 2 years ago, flipping. I mean, on a 180 degrees.
Yeah.
It's so obviously pandering. It's so blatantly cynical that how else would you describe it? They're conning their constituents, and in a way that to me, like you've got to be a little bit of a psychopath to do that. You don't care if you drive democracy into the dirt, as long as what you can just you get to keep your congressman's salary. I don't know what even their goal is anymore.
Again, that's what I mean. Like, what's the end game? Like, and how does then, if you have this completely anti-intellectual society that is relying on all sorts of technological things, like how do you sustain that? Like, okay, you make abortion illegal in Texas, so you're gonna have like, or you make sex ed illegal in Texas or whatever. Like, you're gonna have statistically, you're gonna have super amounts of pregnancy and horrible illegal or medicated abortions that are going to be happening. Like, nothing, the numbers aren't going to go down. They're just going to get underground. And how do you then sustain your tax base when you're killing off people through COVID or through I just don't understand. It's such a short game. It's like, oh, what do we do today? And maybe till the end of the week. Where are we? And that's all that matters.
Historically, I'm not a massive history person, but my understanding is that revolutions that were based on movements that were anti-intellectual go the direction, George, of what you're describing. I mean, different time, different place, so different specifics, but that tends to be what happens. And I can't think of a time that it turned out great for whatever organization, but that's my, liberal elite view on it. But one of the things I wonder about is, so politicians have been doing all kinds of, questionable things in order to stay in power. For me, this seems way worse and way scarier than in my lifetime or my awareness, though it's always been dubious. What's driving it, or what's driving it most, do you guys think? I mean, there's like the Trump story, there's the social media story. Like, why is it
Facebook.
So intense and so anti-science right now, as opposed to even the take away my guns. And when I was in high school, it was religion in school, I think, was a big thing that people
Well, are you
fought about.
asking? So let me try to clarify your question. Like,
Yeah.
first, it's super complicated. It's like something that people are constantly talking about. I read an article by Noam Chomsky that blew my mind yesterday, where he kind of just talks about all of this.
Mm.
You know, but I think like what you're saying, if correct me if I'm wrong, is like how did the Republican Party become radicalized? Is that the
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
Okay. There is an answer to that question. And it's something that's been happening for a long time. You know, it goes back to the 80s. This is from what I'm reading. You know, there's strings of this current thing that we're dealing with that go back to the 80s. Go ahead, Steve. I can't hear you. Go ahead. Yeah, Steve got a doctor call. He's literally working right now. That's just what he does. He's like, well,
Does
how
he
do you
want to
feel?
put that on TikTok or what?
What do you feel?
Mhm.
What? You have numbness? You have numbness? That's $600.
Get
You know
the
what I mean?
mallet.
That's how doctors work, right?
Yeah.
So
You want to borrow my cleaver?
I can't claim
I can
to
do a
remember-
tea time at 3:30 on Wednesday.
yeah, tea time 3:30. Yeah. I think what we're dealing with is, like Steve said, it really has strong roots in a cultural war that's been brewing for a while. And what we saw was that when Trump was elected president, it was like an accelerant was thrown on the situation. And it was also like the gates were open. Like, it's okay to talk about my feelings now. You know, I think a lot of these people were being held back in a lot of different ways. And then, of course, social media is an amazing accelerant to this shit. Look at all the stuff we found out about Facebook literally just in the last 7 days. Facebook is a complete piece of shit platform that rapes its users, manipulates everybody that uses it. It's disgusting what this platform is doing. And I still have a hard time not logging in 5 times a day. And I know it.
But even without social media, I think we would be where we are.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like, yeah.
I do. I mean, it's an accelerant. I think that's a good way to put it. But Fox News, I think, is right in the middle of this radicalization, and I think was a tipping point. But in the bigger issue is the right wing media, which was unleashed when we got rid of the fairness doctrine, and basically there's just this evolution of the blurring of the lines between news and opinion. Right now, people watch Fox News when they're watching Fox Opinion, and they think they're getting the news.
Right.
And I mean, I've seen people that I knew very well radicalized, like over the 90s and the aughts, by Fox News.
Our parents, lots.
Yeah, I didn't want to name names. Thanks, Jay.
Yeah,
but yes, but also, and there's somebody who's who Jay and I know very well.
Oh, yeah.
Who, without again, you know who I'm talking about, Jay. We're not going to say who they are, but they have been so radicalized by Fox News. They are like uber conspiracy theorists. They can't think straight.
Yeah.
Like, they cannot even think. All they know is libs are evil, they're demons, and that's it. That is the central philosophy by which they organize all of their beliefs about the world.
Yep.
Is that Democrats are evil. Talking to them is talking. When they talk to you, they're not talking to you or responding to anything you are saying. They're responding to what they were told the liberals believe.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it. They're just arguing against this boogeyman, this cardboard boogeyman that they've been told exists.
On a profound
they're
level.
so incensed about it that it's like they're beyond reason.
I have a guy.
They've been thoroughly radicalized.
I have a guy on Facebook who is far conservative, like way in the weeds, and we have a run-in with each other every once in a while. And his number one thing that is literally blowing his mind is gasoline prices. He can't stand it to such a degree. I'm like, I'm looking at it and I'm like, this is not a hard nut to crack, man. Gasoline prices is very, very transparent.
Yeah.
It's not a hard thing to go find the truth about. And he comes out with like a ton of information about it. That's all wrong. It's all wrong. But there's a ton of this.
He has the illusion of knowledge.
Yeah.
Right.
And I just sit there.
You did your
and
research.
I'm like, so you're freaking out about, every time you fill up your car, what are we talking about? $5 difference?
Right.
And that's the hill you're dying on. That's the thing that's destroying the
And
country.
and
is gasoline,
gasoline
prices.
they're historically low.
Yeah.
Like if you compare them to inflation,
Yeah.
or to Europe,
Yeah,
Yeah.
compare
we're paying
Or 2010
nothing.
or whenever it was,
Yeah.
it was super high.
Nothing. I
Yeah.
know. I mean, come on. Yeah,
Milk
you're
is
right.
more
But
expensive, yeah.
but Jay, but they
Yeah.
were told to be angry about it.
Yeah.
That's the thing they were told to be angry about today.
Yeah.
Because that's what makes them donate money and gets them to
Right.
the polls. And it's just an industry of outrage. The Republicans have hacked the system. They know that they could generate enthusiasm, generate money, sell their shit, and get their people to the polls by generating outrage. It's
Yeah.
the low energy state for them now, and they're stuck in it. And they've so radicalized their constituents that they now have no choice,
Right.
right? And I'm sure that every Republican who is not insane, like who's not a QAnon insane conspiracy theorist, is thinking, well, if I said what I actually think, I'd be out in the next election,
Yeah,
and
there you
someone
go.
worse than me would be in. So I'll just play along
Toe the line. Yeah.
in
But you
order
see
to.
with everyone who
Yeah.
fell to the Trump, fell in line with Trump, right? Who
Yeah,
originally
and
opposed him.
that's also I'm sure that's probably what everyone who fell in line with Hitler thought too. Not to do the
Yeah.
argument ad Hitlerium, but
Yeah.
but it's true. That's how it's like you talk to any woman who is in an abusive relationship, and they tell you basically the same story about how they slowly got there.
Yeah.
Right? When you analyze anything in history where a society went to authoritarianism and fascism, whatever, it's the same basic elements of getting there. Hitler's just the big historical example that everybody knows, so that's why we always use that. But it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
It's so
Steve
painful.
Karnacki wrote a book about
Yeah.
Newt Gingrich too, which was really interesting.
Yeah,
He was
yeah, I
one
read-
of the
I read-
first guys that
Mhm.
he said Newt Gingrich was like, "You don't concede anything.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whatever the Democrats want to vote on, you say no. Why? Because the Democrats are evil.
Mhm.
And as soon as you label someone else evil, you can't go, oh, okay, I'll agree with you on this and this.
Yeah.
And you look at the amount of bills and stuff that are passed after Gingrich that are bipartisan, and the numbers just drop, and all of a sudden you get this bifurcation, and it's us versus them. And Gingrich was brilliant at it, and he got all of his stuff passed because he was like, you don't give an inch. Don't give an inch.
Mhm.
Which undermines the entire point of democracy.
Exactly.
I have
Exactly.
read articles that discuss this idea, like in the political spectrum. The United States has moved so far over to the insane
Yes.
level that where the Democrats are is where the Republicans are in
Yes.
other countries.
Yes.
Used to be, and they
Used
used
to
to be.
Yes.
Look at
Yes.
Nixon's platform of like, he started the EPA.
Yeah.
Nixon
Yeah.
started the EPA. Reagan said we have to treat
Shit with a
immigrants
lab.
well because these are
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unbelievable.
I was speaking with someone who's from the UK, and he was remarking on how insane everyone thinks it is that we don't have universal health care, et cetera. And, he was like, even the far right agrees that it's great to have the, and I mean, it's not unanimous. And so I actually was like, well, what do you argue about if you agree on healthcare?
Yeah,
Is there
like,
anything else? I
seriously,
mean, there
yeah.
obviously, he named
Immigrants,
it pretty depressing.
probably.
Yeah. Cheese, France.
Well, who said
Yeah.
this? Somebody, I can't remember where I read this, but somebody said, in other countries, when the government raises taxes, the people are okay with it. Not all countries, of course, but there's a lot of countries in Europe. When they raise taxes, people are okay with it because they can physically see that the
Yeah.
money is being turned around, spent on them.
Yeah.
But in the United States, we have a tax change that benefits the rich. That when Trump changed the taxes 3 years ago, or 4 years, it's almost 4 years ago now. I mean, anybody who has a calculator, a pencil, and a ruler can see that the
Yeah.
rich benefited from that. That wasn't something that helped anybody, but they still think it was like this unbelievable, awesome thing that he did. Like that's again, we come right around to the fact that facts don't matter. The truth
Right.
doesn't,
Facts don't
doesn't
matter.
matter. We are living in a world where there's more than one reality. We could smack ourselves in the face as many times as we
Yeah.
want. The only thing that'll fix this is hope at this point. I hope that the younger conservative generation who actually does show signs of very much caring about the environment, I hope that the environment is their gateway into reality.
Yeah.
Because that shit is happening and it's happening fast and
Yeah.
we're measuring it like crazy It's happening in a very accelerated way. All the predictions were bad. So, you know, in a weird kind of way, just follow me here. I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but climate change might save us. It might be the undeniable thing where it's the gateway to understanding, like, holy shit, like if the conservatives are denying global warming, what else are they denying?
COVID.
I don't see that happening, Jay. I'm not sure how you get there, but
Noam Chomsky, I read an article where he
yeah.
he talked about that. I've read other people say that, you know, we're talking about like people who are in college right now who are conservative.
I don't think they're going to have a come to Jesus moment about any issue because they would have had it already. You know what I mean?
It's
like,
hope, man. I'm hoping. You know,
I think, yeah, we could hope, absolutely, but that's not enough. We need systemic change. Right now, the Republicans are engineering long-term minority rule. It can't work forever, but it'll, you know, it could work for a generation or whatever. And they already have it. They already have minority rule. They're just trying to make it even worse, even more solidified. And it feels like we have this narrow window where we could stop some of it. But if we don't, we're basically effed for the foreseeable future. And then we're stuck in this cycle. So my point earlier was not to say it's hopeless, just that there's no way to work within the current system to fix things. We need systemic change. We will keep plugging away trying to educate people, but that's not going to fix the problem. I think we need to fix the media to some extent. We need to rein in social media to some extent. And we need to fix some of the things that are most broken about our democracy, and maybe we can squeak by. But it's a coin flip at this point, by my estimation, by everything that I read. I mean, I haven't read an opinion from anybody that says we're fine, don't worry. I'm not reading that from anyone.
Nobody is saying that.
Nobody is saying we're fine doesn't sell. So maybe the game is being played on both sides.
The selection bias.
Not that many years ago, I actually thought that Trump was going to go so far that Republicans were going to be like, nope, fuck this guy. Like when that didn't happen, my reality changed.
Yeah.
Well, he did say, you know, don't vote in 22 and 24.
That's right.
And it was a little like almost like a hint of like, hey, wait, that doesn't work for us. Like what? So maybe he'll keep making stupid things like that. Jay, you say there's no facts. Yes. Facts don't matter, but I know 2 facts.
One, that you love me. What's the other one?
I know 3 facts.
Okay.
4, he's not Steven Novella.
One is that Andrea's Instagram is snapping. It's popping. It's funny. Fire. It's so great. If you're not following Andrea, it's really fun. You dancing and doing the stuff you do is really
it's entertaining.
It's really
I did not expect that to come up in the midst of our hopeless discussion.
That's why I'm taking this. I'm grabbing the wheel. And
All right.
We're going into the median. Here we go.
All right.
No, it's really fun. So follow Andrea on Instagram because they're just adorable and they're really cool. And the second fact that I know, which is that my friend's Slough, he dropped his album today. It's called Years Have Gone By. Some people in the feed, some fans of mine might know. I played drums on the album. It's a killer record. It's like 20 years in the making. His previous album, Weight of Words, was from 2001. So he waited 20 years. A long time ago, man.
I bought that album. I listened to it. I loved it. And then I said, I can't wait until Slough comes out with his next album. Well, and now I'm an old man.
A mere 20 years. Very little has changed in the world since then, as we've just discussed.
Pretty much still, So if you're interested in hearing some really wonderful stuff, follow Andrea on Instagram. That'll make you smile. And then Slough's album will make you dance and feel like there is a little bit of hope that someone can create something that beautiful and have it. It's on SLAU is his name. So I just wanted to say that before we get too in the weeds.
Let's shift off.
That was a better segue than I had.
Let's get off the shit train. I got to say this because people.
I want someone to hammer my back. Truly.
That's funny. Hold on, you put funny thoughts into my head. So, William Shatner actually made me get a little choked up with his response to, essentially seeing the Earth from a very different perspective.
Blue shoots by. Shoots by.
But it was really interesting because he said something right after they got out, while they're still standing there. And he's essentially saying, like, life is incredibly precious and it goes by so fast. and he's the guy's 90 years old. You know, he's not.
90.
I feel like I'm kind of, my whole perspective on reality is changing as I get into my mid 50s here.
I'm sure he feels like just yesterday he was on the bridge of the Enterprise.
I totally agree. And,
Yeah.
and his comment was the way he said it. It was very heartfelt and poetic. And I highly recommend you just watch right after the ship lands. Just watch the people's reaction and absorb some of that, because it's that spirit that we freaking need. We need that perspective from outer space. We need people to see how flimsy and how brittle reality is. You know, like we're fucking around with things like the climate that you can't fix, right?
It's so much bigger than us.
I
Yeah.
know. We
Yeah.
lost 720,000 people to a virus that we could have handled so much better. It's sickening.
Yeah.
Like these numbers should humble everybody and be like, all right, come on, we fucked up. The fact that people are arguing about these two things, like the COVID death and, you know, and climate, like it's so mind blowing. I just wish that there was some type of reality machine that we could put people in.
Yeah.
Like maybe that's it. Maybe we need to send, you know, some of these assholes up into outer space and let them have a look.
Don't
Yeah.
they
It's
say
almost-
that like every astronaut that goes up and sees the big blue, like you're deeply affected by it?
Yeah.
How could you not
absolutely.
be?
How could you
Yeah.
not be, right?
Yeah,
Let's do an
I-
IMAX thing. Let's mandate some kind of IMAX. You got to go look at
Yeah.
the Earth in an IMAX theater.
Let's
Yeah.
make all of Congress have
Go
to
to
go up.
space.
Seriously, let's make them go up with one Republican, one Democrat, or 2 and 2, and they go up. They have this profound experience with each other, and they come back down. You better start having lunch with each other, you assholes.
Yeah.
Right? You better start talking
The
about
Senate
the
will
real
start
shit.
meeting in the space station. I'm 100% for it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Did
No,
you
Jay,
see
when
what
you
he
were
said?
saying,
Sorry, did you see what he said in 0G? Here, let me.
What?
I have
No.
a picture of
Oh
it.
my.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
Beautiful.
I didn't mean to
Go
step
ahead,
on your show.
no, Jay, when you were saying that climate change was something that actually, you know, ironically gives you hope in a kind of twisted way, I thought you were going in the direction of the renewed interest in space and, you know, whatever you think about billionaires going to space, just more interest in science, which hopefully comes to facts generally.
Yeah.
And then I hadn't even thought of what you're describing, which is the blue marble perspective that could help us all.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean,
When-
we have
when
our.
COVID.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, when COVID started, in a weird kind of like the awful thing could give you hope.
Yeah.
At the very beginning of it, I remember thinking like, well, if anyone could convince, you know, super conservatives to get vaccinated and get the shot, it's going to be Trump, because basically whatever he says they do. So like, oh, maybe it'll be good. I remember literally going on a walk and thinking like,
Oh, you naive.
okay,
Yeah.
if there's
Silly
like, 'cause
George.
what kind of a monster would ignore and let hundreds of thousands of people die? Like even
Would
that guy.
downplay a pandemic.
Yeah, it turns
Yeah.
out that
Call it a
narcissism and,
hoax.
and ego, like, can the whole world be damned?
Yeah.
The whole
Mhm.
fucking world be damned
votes,
because of
for
me,
your-
because of what I want and what I need. You know, having children finally brought me around to like the level of humility that made me become finally an adult. And
Yeah.
even still. But I mean, man, what we need to identify like the 10 most powerful ways to teach human beings humiliation, and then make Congress
Humility.
and upper humility.
Not humiliation.
Sorry.
The subtle
Honestly,
difference,
a
but I
little
think
bit of
worth pointing
humiliation
out.
might
I was
help.
dreaming there.
Hey,
I was
whatever.
dreaming. Yeah, but think about it. Like, why don't we should do this? We should, I am dead serious. We should send some of them up, and we should do things to teach them humility, because that is one of the human traits that could save us.
There was an IMAX movie that I saw when I was a kid. I'm a kid. I might have been in my teens or 20s or something, and it was about
Bambino.
yeah, it was a beautifully shot thing from all these space images of Earth, and it was basically about rivers and how rivers are backing up and they're turning brown in all the places where all the sort of marshland is being destroyed and being turned into buildings. It causes all this damage, and you had these just beautiful images, but then you could see the before and afters. And apparently, Pope John II like saw it. Someone took him and showed him this IMAX thing, and he was affected by it. And I remember thinking like, ooh, so like Jay, what you're saying, like maybe we could not necessarily launch them into space, but let's do like a virtual version of it, which again, it comes down to this idea of it's all about exposure. You know, like what do they say? Any cause is just one Senate member's
Yep.
Senate family member, experiencing it away from having legislation.
Yeah.
My wife's cousin had this thing, and now we're going to have legislation
Yeah.
solely because I've experienced it personally. We're always one personal experience away from legislation. Like, yeah, well, let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't think it's going to move the needle, to be honest with you. I think again, the systemic problems are too big. Like, our representatives are no longer responsive to the voters. Why? Because they choose their voters. The voters don't choose their representatives.
Right.
Until we fix gerrymandering.
Yep.
The part of our government that's supposed to be the most responsive to the voters is the House, which is now the least responsive because it's so horrifically gerrymandered. It's broken. And until we fix that, I don't think any of this is going to matter. And this is something I've been thinking about a lot. Why do we have such unbelievably shitty leaders in this country? Across the spectrum, obviously, no false equivalency there. There's huge differences. But even for the people that I agree with, it's like they're just lame. I mean, I don't know what it is. Where are the charismatic leaders who can move the needle, right? Who could change public
nobody
opinion.
Wants to jump into the political
who could stand up
mess.
for what's right. Give me one Republican who stands up for what's right, or one Democrat who can make a convincing case for why we need to do this or that.
You need millions of
it's
dollars.
Like the children are in charge. Don't you all feel like the children are in charge?
Yeah. Very good way to put it. And you watch these things happen and are just like, it's like watching a baseball team fall apart or a basketball team or something.
You need stupid amounts of money, and you need someone who wants the job. It's the Groucho Marx thing of like, you never want to be a member of a club that would you don't want to join a club that would have you as a member. And it's that thing of like the person that wants to be president probably shouldn't be president.
Right.
Yeah.
On some of the person that
random
wants to be a
selection
congressman.
is a new kind of democracy.
There might be a lot of things I don't know about Bill Gates, so forgive me if I'm speaking out of turn here. But out of all the billionaires out there, I love what he did with his money. I love it. The guy really turned into a philanthropist. I just wish that somebody like Bill Gates would take it on them to say, I'm going to fix this fucking government. I am going to fix the government problem. I'm going to use my influence and my money and everything that I can do to try to put a wedge in here and break off the bed. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I don't know why they seem to the billionaires seem to only care about themselves. Maybe that's how you become a billionaire. That's one of the requirements. I don't know.
Totally. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as a segue, Jay, you sent me this video, so let's see if this is a good segue to Joe Rogan.
Here we go. I don't know why it makes me laugh every time I see it.
I like how intense that was.
It looks so stupid, but it just, I don't know. There's something about that's humorous to me. I don't know why it gets me. I love it when the guy goes, whoop.
It's like they're in the most intense, like ping pong or some kind of like Olympic match, and they're just doing something ridiculous, right? Like if they were just doing it and being goofy, it probably wouldn't be nearly as funny.
Maybe it's really hard to do. Maybe you have to push really hard. I don't know. It's just funny.
Seems like it would hurt.
Steve,
we can segue if we want to decompress a little bit from the world is going to hell.
Let's get away from the pain.
Any of you guys know what an ice giant is?
Yes.
What?
I was married to one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Indomitable snowman.
And Thor, isn't it? Aren't they the ice giants?
Right.
Those
are the storm giants, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What else?
Okay.
So there are two bodies in our solar system that are ice giants. What are they?
Our solar system.
Neptune.
Jay's X.
Yep. Neptune.
And
Uranus. Uranus, yeah. Uranus and Neptune are technically ice giants, not gas giants. Saturn and Jupiter are gas giants. They're about the 80% icy liquids.
Yeah.
Delicious.
I just wrote about this today. So mostly it's like ammonia, methane, and water, right? And they're hot, but they're still technically ice because of the pressure. So wondering, as you increase the pressure, the temperature at which these things are ice goes up to the point where at enough pressure, that's the only phase left. It's like it's ice. So the story was about how Neptune and Uranus have a magnetic field. Mm-hmm. Jupiter and Saturn have metallic liquid hydrogen at their core. going around, right, generating an electric field.
That's cool.
Jupiter's magnetic field is 20,000 times that of Earth. It's the strongest of anything in the solar system other than the sun. But Neptune and Pluto don't have that. So where does it come from? And their magnetic fields are effed up. They're the wrong way. They're weird shaped.
I'm gonna guess.
Yeah.
This is totally ridiculously ignorant. Is it friction? I don't know.
No. No, you need ions moving. You need electric charge moving. That's what generates a magnetic field.
Right.
So this is what they figured out was that at the subsurface slushy ice on these ice giants, under the pressure that they're at, et cetera, they actually were able to reproduce the pressure with the gamma rays and the diamond, whatever. They did that.
Is there a lot of wool rubbing against each other right under the surface?
So what they figured is that water ice basically forms a lattice of oxygen with free-flowing hydrogen ions that can move freely along the lattice. So then you get this free-flowing hydrogen ions generating the magnetic field. So the magnetic field is being generated just under their surface, not in the core.
Wow.
Which is why they're so effed up. Like in Uranus, it's like shifted. It's like not even centered on the center of the planet. You know what I mean? It's like the center of the magnetic field is completely shifted.
That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I used to think that all the 4 big planets in our solar system were gas giants, but now I know that Uranus and Neptune are ice giants, and they have a completely different mechanism for their magnetic field.
I didn't realize that there could be a completely different mechanism. That's really
Well,
interesting.
Terrestrial planets have molten iron, right? Mercury and Earth. Venus and Saturn and Mars don't have much of a magnetic field. The gas giants have metallic hydrogen. That much I knew. But now it's like, okay, but these two, the ice giants, have maybe this. It's called a superionic ice.
Yeah.
So superionic ice in an ice giant planet.
So Steve, where do you put your money on bacteria existing or some kind of something existing? You got to pick some moon or a planet, or because if they've got a magnetic thing happening there, is that going to provide them some kind of pseudo atmosphere that could protect?
Well, the magnetic field will protect them from radiation.
Yeah. So does
that
does that increase the odds of maybe some kind of bacterial, microbial?
I wouldn't put it on those two worlds. They're too far out. They're too cold.
Yeah.
I think the best case for life off Earth in our solar system are
the moons of Jupiter.
There's Io and Enceladus. Not Io, Europa and Enceladus. Those I think are the 2 top ones. It's because they're protected by a crust of ice, right? But they have liquid water. There's like twice as much water in Europa as the oceans of Earth.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Cool.
Yeah,
and they have minerals. They have they obviously have heat. I mean, they have all the components are there for chemosynthetic life. That's the big test, right? If it's there, then it's probably everywhere in the universe. If it's not there, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Why wouldn't it have formed here? All the ingredients are here.
All right, Steve, I have 2 words for you.
Yep.
I have 2 words for all 3 of you guys. Joe Rogan.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about Europa.
I want to talk about Joe.
Chat.
Let me ask you one question before we go to Joe Rogan. What's the only moon in the solar system to produce its own magnetic field?
Our moon.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I'm
Europa.
gonna say
no.
Ganymede.
Ganymede, which is also the biggest moon. Yes.
Does it spin in the wrong direction or something, or is it just okay? Isn't there one that spins opposite on Saturn to all the other ones?
Saturn has a bunch of captured moons, which are going all kinds of crazy ways.
Yeah, I always love that.
So does Jupiter.
Speak to me.
All right, we don't have to do this that long. But Ian and I saw a few things today that
Joe
said.
It depends on which one do you want to talk about. So a little precursor, Sanjay Gupta was on his show for like 3 hours. And
Sanjay,
Jay, what do you want to hit? Do you want to hit let's see, Joe Rogan, vaccinated people are more vulnerable. Joe Rogan on healthiness and exercise can stop COVID. Him taking quote unquote horse dewormer as talked by CNN.
We did that one already.
Yeah. Or there's the Sanjay Gupta in general. I forget what this one's about, but
the hammer guy.
Oh yeah, okay.
Or the balls, or both.
We can go through all of them. Each one is like only a couple minutes long, so I'll just play this first one.
Let's do the first one, then we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how well it works.
I still think it'd be better not to get the virus.
I think it'd be better to get the virus and recover and have amazing immunity to it. Wouldn't it be?
Well, you could get sick, though.
You know what I think you should do? I think you should get vaccinated and then get sick.
What?
This is why.
Why?
Because then you got the vaccine protects you from a bad infection, and then you get COVID. So then you get the robust immunity that's imparted from having the actual disease itself, which is far more complex and comprehensive than you're getting from the vaccine that targets one specific protein, right?
You could make that argument, I think.
Yeah, so that's the move. You get vaccinated, let it wane, and hang around with a bunch of dirty people.
Okay, well,
and then get a lot of therapeutics on hand so you can take care of it quickly.
I will see your recommendation. And
do it?
And give you a
Should have come out with us last night. You probably would have caught it.
I almost did.
Yeah, I mean, so
I still think
the
it'd be
guy's
better not.
talking out his ass.
oh god, I know it's like unreal how little he actually knows about the science.
And says it in such a way that suggests he knows. It
He's
just
got the the illusion of knowledge. He's got a few.
But why isn't Gupta just launching flares into his face? I mean, that's what pissed me off about this whole thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is Gupta going there and not prepared to understand that he's gonna talk rings around you with this nonsense? Be prepared.
He outclassed him.
It's fucking annoying. It's
told him,
fucking
"George,
annoying.
I had the same exact response. Ask Ian. I was seething because I'm like, look at this guy. I'm talking about Gupta. Look at him. He's being gish galloped by Joe Rogan, who's a moron, and he's kicking his ass. He should have said, "Whoa, Joe, hold on. This is what he should have done. Joe, slow down. You're throwing out way too many things for me to cover. Let's start at this one and let me talk." But he is so not a trained skeptic. He doesn't even know how he's being filleted.
Yeah,
right.
I like Gupta. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's got really media savviness, and he talks about stuff really well, and his whole message is great. But he goes into the lion's den. If you're going into the lion's den, do not wear a meat suit.
Exactly.
Just have armor. Get ready.
You're up against the ultimate lion, right?
He's not intellectually
It's
equipped.
like, the fuck are you doing?
You need. That's why Joe won't talk to Steve, because Joe is smart enough to know that Steve will kick his intellectual ass all over the mat.
Of course.
Oh, Steve, I want you to talk to him so much.
Oh, I know. I would pay.
Kara knows him, and Kara suggested to him to have me on the show. And he said, "I'll never have Steve Novella on my show." Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Why?
He said it on show too.
Oh, did he?
Like Jamie, his producer, was like, "Oh, Steven Novella, who's been on the show," and Joe turns around. He's like, "He's never been on the show." It's funny.
Oh, Joe. When it comes down to it, Joe, you're a little boy with a little shorty shorts on. You think you're freaking funny, and you think that you have your thumb on it, or whatever you're doing. You're hurting people. You goddamn moron. You're hurting people.
Yeah.
So that was actually the follow-up video I meant to play, because right before that he says, I'm not going to get the vaccine, and I have that on another video. But then he says in this, you should get the vaccine after having COVID. So let's see.
I think that even with a breakthrough infection, untreated, you're probably more vulnerable than the average child who is not vaccinated, who gets COVID. Like people have died who are double vaccinated. In fact, there was a guy who just won an Emmy who's
I saw that.
Yeah, the odds of that happening to a healthy child are very, very low.
Very low.
But that guy is probably your age. How old are you?
I'm 51.
Yeah, he's about your age. Theoretically, you would be more vulnerable than a young child would be. You vaccinated would be more vulnerable of a breakthrough infection than a young child would be, statistically speaking, right? But you're not worried about
both
catching
rare.
But you're not worried about catching it. You're not worried about catching it because you've been vaccinated and you think it imparts a certain amount of protection. What I'm saying to you is I think that not worry is the same feeling that a lot of people have about their children. They're not worried about their healthy children catching it for the same reason you're not worried about catching it being vaccinated. That if treated correctly, they think that the child probably has a better chance even than you do because you're 51 years old.
I think...
Does that...
I mean, they're both...
That seems reasonable, right?
Well, I think it's... I know the story about this 53-year-old
But you see what I'm
guy.
saying? Like, with your attitude that you're not worried about catching it
Joe's
because
outclassing him
you've
here.
been vaccinated and you're a healthy guy. That is the exact same feeling that people have about vaccinating their children. If they have healthy children and they know that statistically speaking,
God.
there's
This is-
so few
stop it,
children that have
Ian.
died from COVID.
This is where he failed on multiple accounts, because he did talk in other places. They were talking about a lot of different things, but he failed on the whole COVID section. He let Joe talk way too much. Joe, every sentence that Joe says would take him 5 minutes to undo. That's the typical.
Yep.
You know, that's the way the only way to battle it is to stop the guy from talking.
That's the gish gallop.
because
Right,
he's just
but
yeah, but
blowing
it's-
noise.
It's his arena, though, and you guys are right. The scientists fall into this all the time because they think I'm a scientist. I know what I'm talking about. I can talk to some moron who's wrong, but they don't know skepticism. They don't know debate. They don't know how to They don't know what they're in for. They don't know how to deal. They don't know that the Gish Gallop exists, let alone how to deal with it. And you don't, you know what I mean. So he was not prepared to come back. And everything Rogan said, again, it has this superficial kind of, if you've never thought about it before, you're like, yeah, I guess that makes sense, but it's wrong. It's incorrect. It's risk versus benefit. I mean, Gupta should have said, listen, even if you're a kid, even if you're at super low risk, the vaccine is still a statistical benefit for you. You're still better off getting the vaccine. Right. You're still more likely to get harmed by the virus than by the vaccine. It's good for you. And it's good for your grandmother that you're not going to now go bring the virus home to and kill. And it's good for society. You want to get back to work? You want the economy back again? We got to get everybody vaccinated. That's the answer. Not, what was that again? It was just a fail. And I love the guy, but he wasn't prepared.
Joe was all butthurt that CNN said that he took the horse dewormer when he took the human dosage and version of ivermectin. He was really upset about it.
Yeah, cry me a river.
And that's that. And I looked at this whole thing and I'm like, we have a guy that, a doctor, a neurosurgeon that's on the Joe Rogan show who also frequents CNN. He's on CNN, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he is outclassed by Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan won in that argument because he did not actually know he doesn't know what critical thinking is, and he doesn't know what skepticism is. Because he got beat with his pants down, and I'm embarrassed for him in a big way. And I think that guy took a big hit by doing that because my respect for him dropped quite a bit.
It's just us watching in real time what we were talking about earlier, where someone is, Joe Rogan is just steamrolling with ideas that aren't backed up and don't make sense and aren't coherent. And then the side that pays attention to facts is trying to reason with him and be patient and thoughtful, or I'll let you finish. Like, that's not the game that they're playing. They're playing the game of those balls throwing back and forth, and he should have been briefed.
You hit the nail on the head, because when I watched him go on CNN, and now he's talking to another media person who understands the different kind of volleying that they do over there. Oh, he talked a lot. He had a lot to say, and he was making great points.
Yeah.
But on the Joe Rogan show, you totally hit the nail on the head. He got outclassed.
Yep.
He couldn't.
It happened to Phil Plait when Phil was on. He was talking about the moon landing, and Phil wasn't prepared. Again, we love Phil. He wasn't prepared. It happened to Brian Dunning. Brian Dunning went on there, who's a very knowledgeable guy. He wasn't prepared. He was outclassed because it's you're in that arena, like you said.
And with Phil, like, it came down to, like, this was about faking the moon landing, which Phil Plait knows inside and out.
Yeah, he does.
But he didn't know the one or two facts that got thrown at him. If you Gish Gallop enough things, so Rogan said a couple of things that were straight up wrong.
Yeah.
But Phil didn't have on the tip of his tongue the counter facts. Like, the guy, quit the day after or whatever. It's like, no, and it was actually a year later, and it had nothing to do with that. But, if that's the first time you get hit with that specific lie, it's hard to deal with it in the moment.
Because you need infinite facts at your disposal.
Yeah. Well, you need to have a lot of facts at your disposal, and you also need to know how to deal with something when somebody throws a fact at you haven't heard before. That is a specific situation you need to know how to deal with. Right. And unless you've dealt with it, you're going to get bowled over by it.
The worst aspect of that was the fact that there was one half of a famous musician duo, I don't even want to say the guy's name, who was like encouraging it and enjoying the fact that Phil was failing, which just...
You mean Penn?
Yeah.
I'll say it.
Fucker.
No, it was
awful. It was awful.
He was gullible during that interview.
Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah.
Oh boy! All right, why don't we click over to the quiz? So I start warming that up.
Okay.
Andrea, your Instagram is
Are
so
we all
good.
gonna die?
No, Andrea.
Go follow Andrea's Instagram.
Yes.
Andrea,
I mean,
It's
please
so
do, but
fun.
I gotta step up my game to be an antidote to what we just talked about. So.
No, you know what though? This is good.
Yeah.
We are this show, this particular live stream, we're talking a lot about the misinformation that we have to deal with, the people that deal with the misinformation, the people who are mishandling the rebuttal of this misinformation. It's frustrating to skeptics and people who appreciate and respect science. And it's a good thing for us to keep in the front of our brain, because that's what our life is going to be about for pretty much till the end. We have to think along these terms. We need to know, we have to educate ourselves. We have to be able to argue back. We have to be able to put our foot down and not take the bullshit. Like that guy should have said, Joe, stop talking.
Yep.
Let me please respond to the 15 things that you just said, which happen to all be wrong.
Right.
You know,
I
push
wrote them
back.
down. Let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, but he just looks at them and he tries to do what you said. Like he's being too nice.
Yeah.
He's too.
But it's hard to blame him. It's hard to blame him because
fuck him.
It's
See? He guy's on CNN. He's a neuroscientist. He's on CNN. He's a media person. He shouldn't have gone on the Joe Rogan show unless he really had his goddamn deck in order, and he fucked up.
Yeah, but
So
Jay, that's all true, but it's also true of pretty much everybody who's not a trained skeptic or doesn't have experience dealing with pseudoscience. The journalists, the media scientists, they have no experience with this.
Right.
None of them do. So you're blaming him for being like every other expert in his.
I'm blaming him.
Right, but it's not. Steve? It's not the moon landing, though. You know, like no one's gonna die because they believe the moon landing was.
You're
fake.
right.
This is like way more important.
I wish he had done better, and he should have prepped more. And I suspect
that's the point. You know what?
He thought he was prepared because he had the facts on his side. And again, unless you've been there, scientists don't realize that's not enough. You need to not only know the science, you need to know the pseudoscience. You need to understand critical thinking. You need to understand what happens when critical thinking goes awry. You need to understand conspiracy thinking. You need to understand all that shit. And they don't. And they don't even appreciate the fact that they don't. And that's the problem. But,
exactly.
You know,
but Steve, why should we be?
It's a systemic problem. It's not a Sanjay Gupta problem. That's my point.
I don't want to give these people outs anymore. He should have been savvy enough to know going into it. Look, it's not like Joe Rogan doesn't have 300 podcasts that he could watch to see how he operates. Right. It's not like he doesn't know what Joe's going to talk to him about.
Right.
It's
he
not like he
the
doesn't
game
know
tape ahead of time.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't waste that. He wasted that opportunity. He gets on there and he's being so like reasonable and listening, and then he's stuttering. He doesn't know what to say because Joe outclassed him as a talker and as a communicator. So screw him. You don't get more than one opportunity to get on Joe Rogan's show and stick your foot up his ass, and he blew it. So fuck him.
Steve, I'm dedicating my life to getting you on that show. That's what I'm going to do. Now on my Instagram is now exclusively about that.
Steve on Joe.
That's a lot of pressure.
Steve on Joe.
Hashtag
Steve on Joe. Get it going.
That's the hashtag might not work.
All right, now.
Oh yeah, maybe not.
I
might be taken.
Yeah, probably.
I'd like to move away from this because I would like my blood pressure to go back into a safe zone because I'm about to explode. So let's do the quiz.
All right.
Okay. So everybody please go to darkenergy.games. For us internally, I sent the link in the chat. So feel free to click that. Again, it's darkenergy.games. I posted the link in the chat before. Oh God, the hashtag is caught on already.
George, I'm sorry I swore. I know that you don't like it when I swear.
Yeah, I don't. It's just shitty when you do that, and it annoys the fuck out of me, Jay. So come on, it's unnecessary.
Let's tell Andrea what we're happy about. So Andrea, while everybody is logging into the game, we have not done a live performance in 2 years, and we are going to Denver the week of October. Like we're flying out on the 17th. We have a show on the 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Yes, in a few days.
Oh my God, November.
Okay.
Yes.
We are so excited.
Oh yes, congrats.
Can't wait. I can't believe that we're going to be doing the extravaganza and a couple of lives.
I think you experienced what I experienced. So we had our last show was in Seattle, like 2 weeks before COVID hit officially, which we can't believe it was that close. But we were talking about stuff and we were getting prepped for our upcoming thing. And I ended up watching the show that we did because we had uploaded it and we're looking at it just to see, what
did we do 2 years ago? Yeah. What is this show?
Because we forgot it. And I think, Jay, you experienced the same thing. You get so, Andrew, you know this too, being a show person, you get so inside a show, you get so inside a performance, you have no idea if it's good anymore. You think, okay, the audience is responding. Are they being nice? Do they like us? Is it credit? How are we doing? Well, I watched the show. It's a really great show. It's like I had forgotten most of what we did.
Yeah.
And it's really fun and it's educational and silly. And the rogues just come across like in a whole sort of different way, but in a familiar way at the same time. And I was like, hot damn, this is a really fun thing, and I can say that because I remembered about 6%
Yeah.
of it,
Right.
and
We
just
got to watch
enjoy
it.
it.
Yeah, we got to watch it as an audience member,
Yeah.
and I looked at it and I'm like, we just have a great groove, and we really refined that show over the years that we've been working on it, and it
5 years.
came across. So I
So
can't
all it
wait,
takes-
man.
All it takes to get out of your head as an artist is a global pandemic.
Yeah,
So
2
it's
years
perfect.
of being locked in your
Yeah.
bedroom, just crying.
Crying
And all of a
Yes,
sudden-
yeah. It's like 700,000 deaths. Yeah.
That's right.
But that's awesome. You said Denver? You'll be in Denver?
Yes.
All right. I have some friends and family in Denver. I'll send them your way. If it's not already sold out.
Well, the extravaganza is sold out. We have
never
2
mind.
live shows that are not sold out.
Okay.
But if you have someone that you would really love to see the extravaganza,
We
could
could fit
probably,
them in.
I could probably
We
get
know
them in.
people.
We actually
know
do
people.
have some, of our own tickets that we could
No,
give.
those are already gone, Steve.
Oh, okay. We don't have any tickets. so
No, but
It's
I
all
could,
right.
I
Yeah.
could pull a couple out of my butt if you really want me to.
It's for Phil Plate and Penn.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Somebody just said that Steve needs a lava lamp, and I completely agree.
Oh,
You
yeah.
need a lava
tall
lamp
one.
in that office.
Like
There's a
3.5
lot
foot
of
one.
Yeah.
Easter
Big,
eggs back
tall
there
one.
if you're paying attention. Well, maybe a lava
No
lamp might
cleavage,
make an
though.
appearance.
Right next to the bookshelf, a 2-foot lava lamp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call.
Yeah, that would be dope. All right, let's do this game.
All right. If everybody's there, there's a synchronize button, and when I say click, we're gonna hit it. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click.
Mine says circumcised. Is that right? Or am I on the
Yep,
wrong site?
you did it right. No,
I'm on the
that's
wrong
0
page.
seconds behind. I've never been that close in my
I'm
too.
life.
Yeah,
so
you nailed
far. 9.
brisme.org.
Oh, God.
Good. Let's post those latencies if people.
Someone
got it.
just said plasma globe. Remember when remember when those plasma globes showed up at Sharper Image the first time, and it was like the coolest thing in the world?
I
You could
have
touch
one.
it and-
I
Yeah.
still
That's the
think they're
X-Files
cool.
thing?
They are. They're
Yeah.
totally,
Yeah.
totally cool.
They're
But
so
then they
cool,
showed up
man.
in every science fiction show.
Yeah.
Like, all
Yeah.
of a sudden, like the MacGuffin of any like V, all of a sudden had you got to go. I'm like, yeah, it's a Sharper Image thing. What are you doing?
I know, right?
hmm It was our generation's Jacob's Ladder. We have the light
Yeah.
going up the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah,
really
big Boris
interesting.
Karloff knob.
What's the current generation's version of that? Because I know lava lamps and I know this. What are people doing now?
Fidget spinners?
TikTok?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
not that
TikTok.
cool, though.
Yeah.
Stealing
we had
things.
we bought a Van de Graaff machine, and man, I never
That's
got
fun.
tired. That static electricity machine, how freaking cool! I watched the video of one that was like an industrial strength one, and it's amazing what you can do with one that's like on that scale. Like the thing is ridiculous with how much static electricity it can make.
It cures COVID, doesn't it?
Supposedly, yeah. That's what Joe said.
Well, at least boost immunity. So
Yeah, it does boost
Yeah.
the immunity.
It does nothing.
That is a
I
joke.
grab onto it.
Yes.
Nothing happens to me. It's really
YouTube
weird.
censors. That's a joke.
George.
It makes
Yeah,
your pubic
yeah.
hair stand on end.
Oh, is that what it? Oh, that was the feeling I was getting. Okay.
Yeah. It's all
Nice.
tingly.
All right,
All
Clean
right,
shaved.
we're
I'm a Ken doll
ready.
down there. Steve.
Yeah,
What are
let's
you talking
go.
If
Make it
because
happen.
you're too far behind or doesn't have a synchronized button, just follow along on the page. It probably won't be in sync. Away we go.
and
I mean.
away we go.
Humans have 6 million olfactory receptors. Excuse me. How many do dogs have? 300 million, 500 million, 700 million, 1 billion.
I will say that there is so much information on the web that
Yeah.
contradicts itself. Don't take everything in this quiz as like God-given factoid of all time. Okay,
Well, I heard earlier on the show that facts aren't real, so
That's true.
Got
There's
it.
just 3.
Yeah. All right.
I think you can still join the quiz if you join late. And the
Yeah.
answer is 300 million.
yeah. So humans have roughly 6 million, and
I
dogs
was
have
correct within an order of magnitude.
Yeah,
Nice.
but it's profound how much better dogs can smell. And I recommend, if you're interested in dogs, read about dogs' olfactory capabilities. It's really, really cool to know what they can do. They can smell their owner from like over a kilometer away. That type of stuff.
That's
Very
awesome.
cool.
Jay, do you know how your dog smells if he has no nose?
How?
The same.
Awful.
Yeah. Why are dogs' noses wet? 1, to help the dog mark their territory by touching things with their nose. 2, to give off the scent that signals to other animals that they are there. 3, to help absorb scent chemicals. 4, it is an unwanted result of selective breeding.
Oh boy.
I really like that you've put all these great dog photos after this
Oh yeah, I was having
World-
fun.
apocalyptic conversation we've had.
And the answer is to help absorb scent chemicals.
Nice.
Yeah, so dogs, the mucus glands inside their nose work in overtime, and that's why dogs could have a runny nose. And apparently, it significantly increases their ability to actually pick up chemicals.
I was told that if they're dry, that means they're like unhealthy, right? Is that?
I've read that too,
true?
but I don't believe anything about
That's
that.
apparently not true.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, these pictures. Yes.
So, how many dogs survived the sinking of the Titanic?
Oh.
1 is 1, 2 is 2, 3 is 3.
You mean in the world or on the Titanic?
While they were on
Well,
the Titanic.
I don't think they survived much longer after the Titanic. Right?
Were they so devastated by
They're
the
not
disaster
still
that
alive.
they
Yeah.
couldn't go on?
Yeah, that was like 100 years ago. They're all dead. What are you talking about?
Yeah. Jack could have.
Dog
fit
is
on
way
it.
too happy for a Titanic
Sure.
question.
Sorry, but we got to get over it at some
I
point.
love it.
I mean,
Yeah, you gotta get over it. Jesus.
so 3 dogs survived, which I
Oh,
think
Right.
is
The
cool.
answer is 3 dogs.
I'd like to know their stories. I'd like a movie about the dogs that survived.
Yeah. I mean, presumably they made it to life raft, right? Yeah.
We're gonna get copyright claimed. Thank you.
Sorry. No, it's okay.
Any cats? Did cats make it? Doesn't seem
Every
like-
single one of them died. I don't know.
They
Yeah.
were drowned on purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're still swimming out there. They're pissed
Yeah.
off.
Next question: can dogs smell fear? 1 is yes, 2 is no, 3 the internet was not sure.
I like the vacuum. That's the 4th option.
Yes, don't pick the 4th one because you will explode.
Oh, you
Yeah.
know what? I don't see vacuum. That's weird.
No, she said it's blank. It's a vacuum.
Oh, it's blank.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
sorry. Oh, I thought it said vacuum.
It's the
Black
void.
hole of yeah.
I
It's
see.
the
I
quiz
see, I see, I
void.
see.
If you click
Yes.
it, you disappear from
That's
reality.
true.
Mm.
Be careful.
All right, so to
Nice.
You
answer
end up
this
on the Joe
question-
Rogan show.
Yeah.
What's the answer, Ian?
The internet was not sure, apparently,
Guys,
according to Jay.
The answer is
I
no.
I looked a lot. wait. The reason why I said this, Steve, I hear you because
I'm on the internet.
But I
Steve, someone
found,
scared would say that.
I found 4 or 5 websites that were like absolutely yes, blah 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 blah, fake facts, fake facts, and then absolutely no, and the same thing. And I just decided it was too vague to call.
Well, it might be how is the fear presenting itself? Can you smell some kind of perspiration that suggests anxiety, therefore fine, but maybe not if you think of fear in a deeper sense, right?
Yeah, like existential fear. Yeah.
The next
Right.
question is, what is the fastest dog? Or I guess which breed is the fastest dog, probably. Saluki, Vizsla, maybe, Afghan Hound, and Greyhound. Those are the options.
Jesus. Santa's little helper.
Rudolph. Ah, I thought.
Yeah, the answer is Greyhound, and it's pretty
Really?
close. Saluki can run 42.8 miles per hour. Vizsla can run 40 miles an hour. Afghan Hound can run 40 miles an hour. And Greyhound can run 45 miles per hour.
So I did find a website that
Wow.
said the Saluki could run 45 as well. But Greyhound was, like 99% of the websites were saying Greyhound, so I went with it.
I'm just amazed we're timing this many dogs.
Absolutely, I know. That's cool. Imagine being able to run for short spurts, run that fast. That's fast.
That's wild. That is
It's
fast.
almost as if people are betting on it.
That's
Yeah.
like, on ramp to the highway speed. That's
Yeah.
freaking fast. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah. Next time I'm driving it, if I hit 45, I'm like Greyhound. Here we go.
Yeah, totally, right?
And that's with a leash and a person on the back. So
Yeah.
it's like they go even faster without the schmuck holding on.
Yeah.
Okay, let me hit stop the game. and see
That's
what
the
everybody
worst
got.
I've ever done. And I love dogs. Wow.
I started
was
out very
the worst.
strong through random chance, and
Oh
then
my
I fell
God.
apart.
Only 2 100s. That's
Wow.
Well done,
The
Frizz and
Fritz.
Ernie.
The Frizz and Ernie, yeah.
Very few people did worse than I did. So,
I probably did.
so congrats. I like these. My parents
with-
just got a new dog. I'm gonna think about
what kind of dog?
smell. Probably something that people will object to, but double doodle, which I didn't know existed, and it's probably bad for breeding. But my mom didn't want to vacuum dog hair anymore, so
So it's a labradoodle
say?
times 2, like labradoodle bred a labradoodle.
labradoodle bred a golden doodle.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
So
Is
it's
the
a
dog gorgeous?
golden dew.
totally gorgeous, super smart.
Is
Very
it too
wet
much
nose.
to ask that you send me a picture? Because
I will send you. I will share my screen right now. I have so many pictures ready to go.
Yeah.
I grew up with standard poodles. I've owned 2 in my adult life. I'm about to get, not soon, but within the next 3 to 5 years, probably. I'm going to get another one. I love poodles.
Yeah.
Standard poodles, the big ones. The big ones are like, they're just so intelligent.
Yeah.
And little ballsy. They'll do some shit.
She like finds stuff. She jumps really well. I mean, she's only part poodle, but we've always just had golden retrievers before, and they were way dumber.
Yeah,
so,
poodles are really very probably
dumb.
the second. I think they're the second smartest dog. They do things that you will not believe a dog is doing, and you know that they know what they're doing.
What's the smartest dog?
It's the water. Is it the water? Shit.
The one that was in the White House.
Standard poodles or all poodles, if they're
100%
poodle, they don't shed. Somebody asked.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get them haircuts.
Yeah.
Yes, that's an AC in my window. For some reason, mid-October, it's 80 degrees in Connecticut. It should be 60 degrees. And I'm like, I can't, I need AC. I'm freaking out.
Should we take a couple questions?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Let me get those that I totally
Ian
had
will
ready.
curate these questions.
I will curate these questions.
He will curate
definitely.
them. I will curate the questions that have been brought to us from the internet.
Also,
Interwebs.
belated reply to the person who said putting dogs down is too sad, because I'm very against my parents getting a dog because I'm already sad anticipatorily. So that's where my brain is.
I know they live 10 years too short.
Oh,
It's the only relationship you get into that you know exactly how it's going to end.
Oh.
All right, we'll
And
go
you still
happy.
do it. That's how great they are.
All right, let's talk about Joe Rogan.
No, but
Yes,
I'm saying
so
it's
here's
still
Joe.
like you still do it because it's so
totally
great.
worth it.
It's
you get
totally
so
worth
much
it.
love. You get so much out of those relationships.
Yep.
Petting a dog lowers your heart rate.
I gotta get a dog. I gotta probably move my knives if I get a dog. I don't know how strong the magnetic fields are in the Lower East Side. There's some Jupiter action going on.
Okay, so question for George. I found one of your songs on Bandcamp, but it doesn't seem that you have a creator account on Bandcamp. I like buying music on it because it directly supports the artist. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm not on Bandcamp, so whoever put that there, just put it there. But if you like it, grab it, and maybe they'll get paid for it, and that means someone's getting paid for my music, which makes me happy. Even
Well,
if
where
it's not
can
me.
they get your music? Where can they get your music officially?
Well, everything's on iTunes. All my albums are on iTunes. It's also all on YouTube. You can just listen on YouTube if you want. You can also go on Amazon, and it's all there as well. So yeah, you
Excellent.
can get all my stuff, or just send me an email and I'll send it to you. To be honest,
Question
George at
for
georgerob.com.
Oh, George,
Just show up
yes,
at
that's right,
George's
sorry.
house with cash.
Yeah,
That's the
bang
best
on the
way.
door.
No, or not just
Loudly.
chocolate.
Nope.
Yeah.
Question for Jay. Question about the shop. Why can't I order something from Europe?
Oh, for Christ's sake.
Sorry,
Crying
Jay.
out loud.
All right,
Sorry,
so very quickly.
Sanjay Gupta.
I was
right.
lied to. I feel bad because I do like this company. We bought a lot of bulk print T-shirts from Custom Ink. Custom Ink started during the pandemic. They started a e-commerce, like you could put it on your website and sell it. And I was under the impression that their store did a lot of things that it doesn't do. And I feel I was misguided in several ways.
Travel through
So
time.
I feel so. Ian and I are right now working on trying to find another place that can do it globally and actually give me some features that I actually need and have the features actually exist. So I'm sorry about that. It's not an easy thing to crack. Like I thought about hiring like a second company in Europe, and then the people in Australia are complaining. I got people all over the world that want swag, and no.
How illegal is it if I buy it and then mail it to all these places?
Perfectly legal.
All right. It's happening.
All right, wait, one more thing.
The other way to get ESGU swag, by the way, is to invite us to your country to do an event, and we will bring swag with us.
Yes,
Now
swag that you
that
can only
works
get
too.
by inviting us, because we do like the hats are swag that you only get when we show up in person.
You get
So-
the good
Backpacks,
swag,
the good swag,
not the
yeah.
crappy internet swag.
Yeah.
but the good-
Just as
Made
good, but
swag.
of different
Made by
quality.
Ian chained to a wall.
Wait,
So if you
don't get that
live in the
good
UK
stuff.
or if you live in Australia and you know of a good, like print on demand type of provider that I could use, email me at info@theskepticsguide.org and let me know. But please don't do it. Don't write me if you heard of one. Please, only if you know, because I'm going to have to do research.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this
but-
has been a multi-year project.
Oh,
to
it's
try
a
to find-
Bongo shirts, wallamalooshirts.net,
Yeah.
.au,
It's been one of my biggest
skizzy
pains in the ass.
shirts.au.net.com.kangaroo.koala. koalaswag.au.maynard.com.
And Andrea,
We're never
question.
going back.
Somebody ask
Yeah.
Andrea a question.
Yeah, George, I'm pretty sure that whole thing was racist, but okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The question for Andrea is, Andrea, what's your Instagram handle so people can follow you?
Smart.
Nice, thanks.
Yeah. I know.
It's at Jones Roy. So my
That's
last
true.
name with no hyphen and an at in the beginning, if you're not familiar with how Instagram works.
What kind of a name is that, by the way?
A complicated one. My parents were progressive. I was born in the 80s, and so it was very rare to have a hyphenated name back then. But Jones is my mother's family, and Roy is my dad's, and it's Dutch.
Dutch.
Cool. Dutch.
Very cool. Oh, so it's an amalgam of the two. That's really progressive. That's like yes, progressive.
It is, though. It just meant that the minute I vaguely looked like an adult, everyone assumed I was married. So, so that's going on still.
If you do get married, will you have then 4 last names, kind of thing? Can you
Well, I
keep it
did
going?
date someone who had a hyphenated last name, and
What
one
would
of the
it have
names
been?
even had 2 words in it. It was like a Von whatever, and so I was
Oh,
like, this
yeah.
is going to be insane.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I always thought that would be cool to have like one of those really long English names, like William, von Trapstein,
Yeah.
Merkwald, Rutherford, like
the third for some
how
reason.
do you get that? How do you get how can I get that name? How do you make that happen?
Just do it, man. Just do it.
Yeah. I learned that my grandfather added a third to his name because he thought it sounded more distinguished. I thought forever that he's William C. Jones, and I thought there were many before him, and there weren't. He just added it. So
Oh, he lied.
yeah.
It's
I come
fake.
from a long line of liars.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy, the whole women taking men's names. Like, we still do
Very
that.
crazy.
We
Yeah.
still do that. It's like,
Yeah.
really? We're still doing that?
Yeah. It's
Isn't it
very weird. I
It
knew
happens
one,
less often, but it's just weird, man.
like a friend of a friend where it went the other way, where the man took the wife's last name, and everyone is confused by it, and no one understands it, and it's literally one example out of infinity.
That ain't
I mean,
natural.
I announce, like my gig is playing weddings. Like 80% of what I do is I play weddings, and I'm the announcer guy. So I say,
yeah.
please welcome for the very first time, Mr. and Dr. Lobster Smith von Harrington von. And like so often, I'm shocked, number one, that the woman's first name isn't even said. They're like, no, just please welcome Mr. and Mrs. Steve. Baba.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
What?
you don't want to
Yeah,
say
the
Steve
first
and
name-
Andrea?
Yeah.
Like, really?
You get the dude's middle name. Shout out to Elizabeth, who says, you can pry my name from my cold, dead hand.
Yes, good.
Well,
But
I'll
it's
tell
like,
you-
why are we still doing it?
I
It's
think
so
all right, so
weird.
I'll give you a couple of mechanical things that I think make sense on some level. One
Mr.
is that
Robot?
you're creating a family.
Yeah.
Right? So like, my wife took my last name. I didn't force it on her if she didn't want it.
Yeah.
I would have been okay with it. But I do like that we all have the same name because we're a family and it's like all of us are somebody Novella, you know what I mean? Which I like.
Plus, Novella is a cool name.
And
Totally.
she did tell me that she loved our last name so much that she wanted to change it, which I thought was cool because like
That is cool.
it's something that boys are not brought up thinking about. We don't think
Yeah.
about changing our last name, which is
Right.
another one of those things.
My wife was excited to get rid of her last name, and because it was Hadidian, not that she was, ashamed of her culture or anything. It's just that she went through life up to that point with 100% of people mispronouncing her last
Yes.
name, and she wanted to experience what it would be like not to have her last name mispronounced 100% of the time.
Right. Or recorded,
So-
spelled wrong, and so you can't find the
whatever.
record.
My
So
mom,
that was
too,
just sort of a
same thing.
practical thing. And it
My
just-
mom had a very long Ukrainian.
What was it?
Yeah.
I don't want to say it because it's like that's the keyword for all of my bank
Oh,
accounts.
okay, yeah. Right.
You know
We'll
what I
talk
mean?
after the show.
You said
Yeah.
too
It
much.
was like Graba Nahor Inat
Grab it off
kind of like,
the
yes, like,
What did you just
it was just
say?
a long, and she was like, "Oh, I was so excited to become
Right.
Rob."
Yeah.
4 letters,
Yeah.
it was the best. And
Yeah.
Rob gets mispronounced all the time too. Don't get me wrong, and I was like, "Really? Like
Rob.
you were okay?" She's like, "Oh no, I was looking forward to it." But that's
4
still,
letters.
it's still
Yeah.
weird, and it's not a judgment. I'm just saying.
No.
I agree. I've
weird.
thought about this as well. Like, all right, what's my position on this? Because I agree with Jay that there's something good about a nuclear family having one name. It's it's confusing otherwise and everything. But I would never impose that as a culture. Like the woman has to change her last name. Whatever. I don't care. So what is the optimal solution? Because there really isn't one. You can't infinitely hyphenate.
Right.
Some cultures do that. I mean, some cultures, I think a lot of Spanish-speaking cultures, they just always just combine the two last names.
What if it's random?
And it just keeps going, and then at some point they just condense it
Start
back
over.
down, and they have to every now and then. They got to just. It's
Reboot.
technically like I have 20 names, but I just
You just
don't
have the
mention
one,
the middle
right.
18 ones because it's crazy. But so there isn't. I don't know what the perfect solution is, except just let
Coin
people do
flip?
whatever they want. But
I'll give you one.
I like the
'cause
random selection where you just
I-
kind of keep families going. Some
Make up
people
a new one.
combine last names
Yeah,
or
I'll-
in one word or change to a new one, but then
Right.
you lose the heritage and stuff.
yeah, then it's like, how do you research your family lineage? I mean, it becomes
Yeah.
a nightmare if every
Yeah.
time there's a family, it's like a hitting the reset button on the last.
Ian, go ahead.
I would.
My wife and I both changed both of our last names. So
To
Ooh.
what?
that's the secret. But we changed we put our middle names, our old last names as our middle names.
Oh,
So we
did you
just shifted it in?
Did you pick a rando last name, or was it?
Yeah, it's just a random number generator, so it's not pronounceable. But no, I picked exactly.
Ian.
We basically took my stepfather's last name.
That's cool.
Cool.
So,
George.
because he raised
Yeah.
me, so that's kind of. So it's still kind of taking.
Yeah, it's fine. Again, it's all fine, but
Yeah.
there's like no one correct optimal.
There's
like,
no good solution.
I don't know like what I would defend as like this is like I have opinions about Celsius and Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion about what the optimal
Ooh,
last name
throwdown.
solution is.
Throwdown topic. Ooh,
My
that was good.
shorthand one is whichever person has the better last name is what I
Well,
would
that's
probably
basically what
default
we
to.
did practically. It's like
Yeah.
we just
I
went
had
for the better half last
A
name.
couple friends that took the maiden name, and if it worked, that would become one of the kids' names.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
So like if someone was whatever, like what I can't think of an example, but I don't want to say the one I know. But that was kind of cool. So like the woman's name was the daughter's first name.
Mm.
Yeah.
Kind of neat. So you had like both there in the
Right.
daughter then, which then the lineage kind of
Yeah, but the other thing is it's not predictable. Like
Right.
we can't like as a culture say, all right, this is what we're doing now, so that
Yeah.
everyone's doing the same thing. It's predictable. You can, there's no you don't have to explain every single time. Like you don't have to explain to the kids and the teachers like why
Right.
the kids have the certain last name or whatever. There isn't any one, and I've never heard of anyone getting like. There's no movement to push one solution, right?
Right.
I mean, am I
Well, it
missing
sounds
something?
like the liberal elites are trying to change our way of life.
Well, yeah, but
What
they
do other
haven't settled
cultures
on
do? What
what's
do
the
non-Western
woke way
cultures
to,
do?
to name
know.
your family.
Is there like what do non-Western cultures do? Are names not that big a deal in terms
All
of
sorts of different things. Again, some
Yeah.
just endlessly hyphenate, others.
right? But I mean, like like totally non. I mean, like again, I don't even know. Like Polynesian cultures and stuff. Like what? Like I wonder. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, is there the same interest in the lineage and whatever?
Yeah.
So
There have been cultures, I don't know how prevalent they are now, where it is like on the maternal line, and so you keep
Yeah.
them on the last name, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I
I'm sure
love-
everything
sense.
happens.
But I
yeah.
love the idea, though, that you take a family name and it legitimately goes back into history
Yeah.
of humankind. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
it's cool.
my wife and I, it's a long story, and I told some of you know, my wife took me to Italy for our 10th year anniversary, and it was like I can't believe how amazing it was. Now we're in Florence, and there is a cathedral there called Santa Maria Novella, and I stood there, and I'm like, I have heritage here.
Cool.
Like I share genetic material with people that stood here and did this. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
blows my mind. That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
And if you make up your last name, that goes away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that, but I also have thought many times in my life, you know, I'm half my mom and half my dad. I'm half of a lot of other names and families. You know,
Yeah.
there's a whole other side that you know, because I'm a quarter Swedish, but I'm half whatever my mom is.
well, they have the whole son of thing too, right? Where you have
Oh, yeah.
like
Yeah.
Ivanovich is son of Ivan. So
Yeah.
you have
Yeah.
like, you know, Ivan Ivanovich is John, son of John, who then
Right.
has a kid who might be Taras Ivanovich,
Right.
but then
And-
his son would be Tarasovich.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
Right.
like that's a male
Oh, would he be son of a bitch?
son of
Son,
Ivan.
son of beach. Jeez.
I think, is it Iceland that does the daughter version? I
Mm.
just keep throwing in my feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah,
card.
that's cool. No,
Yeah.
no, yeah. That's
But most
that's
of it
kinda
is
cool.
Anders' son or whatever.
Yeah, right,
or
right.
Ivanovich or whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
It's interesting.
Andrea, I like your
conundrum.
name. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, no, it's.
I know
it's
that
super
George
hip.
doesn't, and whatever. Which
Yeah.
is rude.
He told me already. He called me
Yeah,
earlier.
but I like it.
Yeah, thanks.
I say Jonesy, drop the
Yeah.
hyphen. Listen to
In
me.
third grade, I did go
AJ.
just by Roy, and I felt too guilty about my mother, and so I put it back. It was not a formal move, but I tried it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But thank you. I've
tried
been
it on. Yeah.
iffy on my name, so thanks. It's what's
All
cool
right.
is that my brother and I are the only two people in the world with this name. So
That's right.
you're not
So
going
I
to
don't-
find us in a church in Italy.
Mhm.
I don't know if that counted as a question for Andrea though, because that was a. Unless you want to answer, how do you do the ring thing in the air? Because that looks scary. The whole like acrobatic stuff. If anybody hasn't been on her Instagram already.
Thank you for asking. I did it today. The trick is you get really injured a lot.
okay.
And I'm like
Alright.
bruised and
Okay.
limping, and it's really
Rug
gruesome.
burns. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
good.
Burns.
It's not
Pretty
as
impressive.
soft
Have a-
as it looks. It's very
Have a
hard.
high pain threshold. That's how
High
it
pain
is.
threshold. But it's cathartic if you hate yourself. But I recommend it. It's a great way to spend some time.
It
Yeah,
is beautiful.
How do you start that though? Like, do you go to a circus school? Do
Yeah.
you go to a like what's
There
the
are
first
lots
lesson?
of places around the world really where you can go and you can be an absolute beginner, no background in dance or gymnastics or yoga. You've never done anything, and they'll work with you, and you can work your way up the levels, and you learn how to get on, and then you learn how to move one thing, and so on. It's fantastic exercise.
Wow, I bet.
That reminds
Always
me of
made a
something
good move.
funny. A friend of ours, who I won't name, Cirque du Soleil?
Yeah.
They thought it was Circus Olay.
Spanish. Circus Olay.
Circus, olay! That's awesome.
I would
But
go to that.
it's like once you get that in your head, that's what you'll hear.
That's it.
Yeah.
Circus Olay, right?
I'm going to start a circus and I'm going to call it that and wait till I get sued.
I
Reminds me-
auditioned for Cirque du Soleil as a drummer years and years
Oh,
ago.
cool.
yeah?
George.
Yeah, and I played the audition, and I finished. And I thought I did a pretty good job. And the French guy was like, "Yeah," and he actually memorialized this in a song. But at the end of my audition, he said, "You're a very good drummer, but we're looking for something more ethnic."
Oof.
Wow.
I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
you're right. If that's what you're looking for."
Yeah, they could have said that ahead
Bye.
of time, but yeah. I
I'll never
auditioned for
forget
them
it.
once in Vegas and made it almost barely at all through the audition process. So that's where my level is.
All right. So it's
Okay.
6:37.
All right.
So we have
Leave it
one
open.
final question for Steve.
All right.
What was the pizza place that you said was the best last
Oh,
week?
I
if
wish I
you-
remembered. It was
Yeah.
just literally like we're looking for someplace to eat. It's like, all right, we just walked into the closest pizza place, and it was awesome. I don't even
Where?
remember the name or anything.
What
New
city?
York, I think.
Close to Nexus in New York. Wherever we
Oh.
were.
I was up there today.
Right,
I thought
yeah.
about you
IT.
guys. Yeah.
So if you go to the fashion district and just expand around in concentric circles, trying every pizza joint you hit, you see, eventually you'll find that pizza joint.
Chuck said I should audition for Blue Man Group. I did audition for
Whoa,
Blue
you'd
Man
be
Group.
so good.
No, I got no callback. I got
Oh.
no because I was like all psyched. I'm like, okay, I can do most of the stuff.
I could
they
be
do.
blue.
Like, well,
Yeah.
I could be blue, right? I'm like physically, I was good. 5'10" to 6'1" is what they want. You have to have percussion chops, which I totally had. I'm like, I can juggle. I can catch stuff in my mouth. I can do
Yeah.
it. But the audition was like,
You were
okay,
too
we're gonna
ethnic.
the audition was like, okay, stand still and imagine that you're seeing the most amazing thing you've ever seen in your life and show us that, but without a reaction. I'm like, what? So like they basically had the camera on me for 90 seconds and I'm like thinking in my mind, I'm screaming like, oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that? But like nothing, I couldn't, they're like, no, don't move your eyebrows. Don't just kind of show us that you're seeing the most miraculous thing without doing anything. I was like, yeah. So then I didn't get a call back.
I want to punch whoever said that to you.
What were
okay.
they looking for?
I don't know. I don't know.
It's hard. I can't even imagine. Like what?
No.
I was like sort of like,
Did they just mean with your face? They want you to show
sort
them
of
with
like, but
your
like, but you
body?
couldn't be like, because
Yeah.
I started moving. I started doing this bit of like telling the guy next to me who wasn't really there, just be like, can you like, hey, and they're like, don't move, no, just don't move, don't just keep. And I'm like, oh, okay.
You should have just walked out. Whatever. All right.
Yeah.
Like, damn it.
You
Like, this
got
doesn't make
me.
sense.
You got me. I drove all the way down. Ha ha. Yeah.
It was at a percussion conference and they were looking for people. So it was like in this guy's I hope he was part of the show. He might not have been because it was just up in his room and he was just filming us. But maybe
Maybe it was
wasn't
like a
even part of the
gag thing where they would like give
Yeah.
people impossible instructions.
and
just
it's
to
a
see what
loop
they
now
do.
somewhere on the internet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember that
But basically, you were
George who
had.
told him not
I
to
was
move.
basically
My God! All right, I'm cutting this off.
All right.
'cause I gotta eat.
Thank you guys for
Thank you,
joining us.
everybody.
It's
So
a lot of
Thanks,
fun.
everyone.
That
Yeah.
was a good one.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Andrea.
Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having us.
George. I love doing stuff with you two guys.
Mhm.
The feeling
Thank
is very
you.
You should do
mutual.
more
Anytime.
stuff.
Steve,
So
you go without
happy to
saying.
do
I know.
it.
There it is.
You're always down. You're always
Yes.
down. Whenever I call her, she's like, "Yes, I'll do it." I'm like, "You
We
sure?"
actually
Yes.
might have more stuff coming in the future, right? We haven't
Yes.
talked to Andrea entirely.
Oh, that's
about
right.
that.
Yes.
Oh,
That's right.
like,
Like,
was I supposed to be
Get
somewhere?
the
I
cleaver.
don't know.
Get the
Yeah.
cleaver
Yeah,
ready.
Yeah, get that thing sharp.
Bring the cleaver.
Yeah. Next time I'll have the cleaver up front.
Yeah.
Mm.
Just so we can all get a
Face.
good
I
look
got
at
to see the face that you come up with.
it. Yeah. And I'll have a face next time. All right.
Night, all.
All right. Nice to see
Bye.
everyone. Thanks everyone who's watching.
Shut that
Bye.
door, Ian. Shut
Bye-bye.
it. Shut it.
like
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.